Good morning, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about the mind, body, soul connection in relation to trauma. Not only how trauma gets lodged into the body, but how trauma gets backed out of the body, pushed out through this Kundalini awakening that many of us are on. So first, let's start with how trauma gets into the body. And I have talked about this in a good few videos. There is a video called Trauma, Something in the Body playlist. Please go check that one out. I'll put a link to it in the description below, as well as at the end of this video to get more information about how trauma lodges into the body. But the short story of it is we are an energetic being. We are far bigger than our physical form. Our physical form is the densest. While we work our way out into the etheric, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So depending on the size of your auric field, and everybody has a different size auric field depending on how much vibration they're carrying, how much light they're carrying within their system. So somebody who suffers from a lot of depression or low vibrational frequencies, again, I refer to the vibrational scale that looks like a spiral that I've shown in many of my videos, of all the emotions working their way up from like 0, which would be dead, 5, which would be despondency, up to bliss, which would be 1,000. Okay, so we're all climbing up this ladder trying to get to high vibes, right? But you have to go through on the ladder. You can't, fly up. You have to climb the ladder. And in climbing the ladder, our vibrational frequency begins to emit bigger and wider because we carry more light. We carry more energetic vibrational frequency in our system. So if you are depressed, your energetic ball around you, if you want to picture a ball of light around you, decreases in size. So depression, despondency, despair, all of these types of emotions, low vibe, are very, closed off energetic system. You may not even have a lot happening in the auric field, whereas somebody who's in a healthy vibration, not a faux vibration of confidence, but a healthy vibration of confidence, and emitting out love and emitting out authenticity and emitting out, all these higher things, are going to have a much wider and broader auric field. So the auric field is divided into subparts. It's not just one big energetic, as I said. At the furthest edges of your auric field is the etheric and the spiritual realms. So when this is in full activation, you have the ability to intuit. You have all your spiritual gifts that are functioning online, and you're comfortable with them. And everything is good. As we work our way a little bit in, we come into the mental fields. And this is the field of thoughts. Someone, I think it was Carl Jung, once described it as the collective field that we all can tap into. And it's like you could reach up and pull down ideas and pull down inspiration, and then write your novel or create whatever it is that you need to create. So this interconnects with everything else in this level of consciousness that is the mental field, the mental part of the auric field. A little bit closer into us is our emotional auric field, and so our emotions actually are just outside of us, and that's a little bit of a denser energy. You can feel the vibration in this area of, when you sense that somebody's having a bad day, or you're picking up on things that just make you feel good, and you get, all the little tingles on your arm, when you hear a concerto that's like incredible music, or somebody has brilliant talent and you're like, yes, oh, I like that. All the hairs stand on end. And then you have your physical form. which has a noticeable and discernible barrier that you can see, and then everything that goes within it. So when you experience trauma, and this will be as a child, you're born emanating a certain amount of light. Some people they just come out, look at them, it's pure and perfection and beautiful, little children. And then what happens is they accumulate all kinds of traumatic experience. And so in traumatic experience comes along, maybe you misbehaved and you did something wrong, and instead of being explained why that was wrong or what you needed to do differently, you were raged at. Somebody stood in front of you, an older person, a bigger person, with a louder voice, stood in front of you, screaming at you and making you feel shameful, making you feel all kinds of things. So that experience penetrates in through the spiritual. So you're like, on the spiritual level. The mental is trying to process things at a rate that is usually too big for your little mind to be able to process. And then your emotions get heightened, and you start shaking or getting upset or crying or emoting in some way, which probably exacerbated the situation. And then your physical form tenses. You feel anxiety. You may feel nauseous. You may feel get headaches. Children that speak a lot about having tummy issues or is a way of saying I'm feeling anxious. So if you have a child, or you were a child that was always experiencing tummy issues, that's the way that a child communicates. I'm feeling on this level anxiety, but I don't have the words for that. So I'm feeling stressed. I think I'm having some PTSD is not something a kid says. A kid instead says, I'm experiencing nausea, or I'm experiencing night terrors, or I'm experiencing a headache. I don't feel well. I don't feel well because they're not feeling well on all these other levels. And so then that experience, because we're too young or too small to be able to effectively process through and alchemize the situation, learn from the situation, experience the situation in a way that increases our conscious level at that time, instead holds on or locks in that experience and says, it's okay, we're going to store that in the memory bank. And the memory bank is your fascia, which is all the connective tissue that surrounds everything in your entire body, your musculature, perhaps even, it gets lodged in further and further and further, depending on how chronic the condition was, chronic the stress was. So complex post-traumatic stress disorder is like a continual trauma that never ceases, it's constant. So week after week after week, you're in an abusive environment, basically trying to survive, unable to process through any of the things that are happening to you. And it gets lodged and lodged and lodged. And over time, it'll absorb in deeper and deeper and deeper into the physical form. Oh, we're going to get some rain. Into the physical form, and what then will happen is you'll develop diseases in the body. So your organs may start to have issues, your immune system may start to have issues, all depending on the age and stage in which the trauma occurred, your ability to process it, and a whole bunch of other things can be at play. So long-term stress causes dis-ease, illness, and discomfort. I think I'm going to make my way inside. Getting rained on. Part 2. So I was talking about how trauma gets lodged in, and the physical result of that trauma over time not being dealt with causes disease. Please hop on to the chakra playlist and check out the 7 videos called The Manifestation of Dis-ease for each of the chakras, so that you can familiarize yourself with how that develops into the physical form more and more. So the next part of what I wanted to really communicate to you about was how the trauma leaves the body. And so now we're all grown up and we've been coping with 1,000,001 unhealthy coping mechanisms. And we're all of a sudden activated by Kundalini or spiritual awakening in however you were activated. And the body begins its purification process, as well as the emotional realm and the mental realm and the spiritual realm, because what happens is the Kundalini that's stored in your root chakra is released and begins to make its process up. So it's the depiction of the two snakes that is energetically working its way through your body, which means that if it's affected on your body, it affects the emotional, it affects the mental, and affects the spiritual. And it begins this process of purification. And so what happens for me and others a lot on this process is on the physical, you will begin to experience any number of symptoms. They have been listed as like ascension symptoms, or awakening symptoms, because those of us that have been raised in North America or another Western style of country who weren't living, a very clean life, in the sense that most of the foods that we eat aren't actually as healthy as we are believed that they are. We're exposed to toxins regularly through body care products, through home cleaning products, through DIY projects, and if you're breathing in spray cans from aerosols and hair dyes, we're inundated with toxicity as well as trauma, as well as, eating foods that aren't healthy for us. So our bodies are not as healthy as if we had been raised, in the middle of Thailand somewhere, where we're eating a very clean diet of, freshly caught fish and some rice and vegetables. There's a reason why the North American population is getting increasingly larger and larger in size, dealing with lots of obesity and disease, and that's because our foods that we are eating aren't really as healthy. The amount of sugar that we consume is not good for us. But we have been led to believe that it's not so bad, and so many of us have been living a life where we're eating foods high in sugar and high in fats, unhealthy fats, eating and consuming alcohol, tobacco, caffeine, pharmaceuticals, using cosmetics, all of these things can help contribute to getting our body in a state that is less than ideal for a Kundalini or a spiritual awakening. And so when you're activated, it's like, I'm going to push out all of this stuff, all the toxins and all the traumas. And in so doing, there's all these symptoms that can happen on the physical form. And they can, for me, it happened, I had a lot of symptoms all the way through this process. It was always that's why I talk about healing crisis and there's a body playlist, please check that out if you're struggling with the body. So there were certain tools that I found that became my, in case of emergency, it was always seemed like an emergency that I used, and I'm recommending to you now here in this video, so that you can assist yourself in the purge on the physical form as much as you possibly can. So one, hot tub. So I am blessed to have a small hot tub in my back garden, and using the jets on the muscles and the fascia has saved me a fortune in massage therapy costs. Otherwise, I would have needed, 3 massages a week, if not more, to help clear out all the stuff. So one of the main things that has been helping helping me for the last 3 years along this process is the hydrotherapy with jets. So sitting in the hot water, as well as sitting on the jets, having them basically pummel certain muscle groups, particularly for me. That has been the low back, because root chakra issues is a primary issue for me, as well as down the legs. Again, root chakra, down the IT bands has been exceptionally painful. And so as the trauma begins to be pushed out and everything being pushed out, a lot of that is stored in your thighs, your hips, your buttocks, your low back. But I have experienced it throughout. So you may be going through a release in your upper back area, your shoulders. Last summer, if you see my videos, I was in, I had a sling on because energetically something was happening in that shoulder that took about 6 months to clear out and get mobility back. I still don't have, I have maybe 95% of my mobility back in this arm. I still can't fully, get as up as I used to once be able to do. So I'm still, it takes a long time. It takes a very long time. As well, old injuries may come out and you're like, oh man, I injured that knee when I'm 12 in that exact place. Why is it hurting now? Because the injury is making its way out. So along with massage therapy, I've talked in a good bit of videos about trigger point therapy. So I have my tools with me here to help show you So I highly recommend, if you are dealing with things on the physical that you're having issue with, in releasing a softball, which isn't so soft, is amazing for your larger muscle groups. I bring this thing to bed with me, and if I'm going to be watching a movie or something, I'll sit on it. And so the key with trigger point release is you want to, wherever you place it, and you'll feel the sweet spot, trust me, you want to leave it there for at least 30 seconds minimum, up to 2 minutes, or even longer for some muscles that have gone into complete knots. And you'll know them because they feel like little tiny weeny knots. This guy here, the peanut, is great for going along the spine. It's got like an indent there. This guy here can get into smaller and tighter areas, and this guy here is brilliant at wowza is what this guy's good at. So you can really help break up the adhesions in the fascia and release the muscle knots that are coming to be pushed out, because as I said, you experience all this stuff, it's being stored, and now we're clearing out that which does not work for us anymore. Another amazing device are these guys here, and you can buy them on Amazon for super cheap. So these are suction cups. They're made of silicone, so they're very squeezy and everything. And these are fantastic. You may have seen, I use them on my shoulder an awful lot. I use them on my low back, down my legs, same place. So all you want to do is put a little bit of your coconut oil or olive oil. Both are good oils for your body to use, or a castor oil, although castor oil can be really sticky. I made a castor oil olive oil blend that was quite nice because it was a little less sticky. And then you squeeze out all of the air. Here, I'll do it. I don't have oil on me, but you want to put it on the body and squeeze out all the air. So you're lifting just a corner of it, and then then it sticks. And so it works a lot better. It doesn't work very well on dry skin, although I seem to have got it quite nicely on there. And then you'll leave that on there for 5-10 minutes. You don't want to leave it too long, because it will eventually break the skin and cause a blister. So do take care, especially if you're in certain tender areas. But these guys here, and if they're good enough for Michael Phelps, who's a Olympian swimmer, then they're good enough to help pull out the trauma. And you'll see in your body, it'll basically bruise up a little bit, but it's not a bruise per se. It'll get red. It's pulling all the stuff up and out, and you want it out. Trust me, you want it out. So that's another amazing device I highly recommend if you're struggling with physical aches and pains on this process. This guy here is amazing. Now, I got him free with my air miles because air miles are my favorite thing in the world. But he came with a whole bunch of different attachments and heads. I personally like this one because it's kind of like the meanest. It gets in there. Oh, to take it off and then see. Okay, there we go. I love this guy. He's got 3 different speeds and he pushes out, you can see, and goes at a great rate. And so using this, I like this guy because he can get in between the ribs if your intercostals are the ones that are currently in a lot of pain. There's a bigger ball one that comes that's better for your thighs or things like that, but I basically just stick to this one. But this guy is amazing, and I highly recommend you get yourself a massage gun. Now, this guy I don't use, but I'm going to, so it's kind of like a almost recommendation because this is an AccuPen, and a friend of mine who's going through a Kundalini awakening with me and has been a godsend, has a lot of physical symptoms as well. And she swears by the AccuPen. I personally find it a little too stimulating. Like even on the lowest setting, I'm like, ah. So with my nervous system, the way that it is, I think take caution. This comes with caution. This comes as like, you can try it out. It wasn't that expensive, but it's a no for me. It's a no for me, but a yes for somebody else. So you may get, if you're finding that your meridian system is needing some extra stimulation to release some stuff, because the meridian system is helping energetically everything clear. The Kundalini is working its way through the chakra system, which connects to the meridian system. It's all the energetic connections into the and throughout the entire body. So that's a yes/no recommendation. Yes from somebody else, no from me, but give it a try. I don't have downstairs with me my Shakti mat, which is an acupressure mat that you lie on, and it comes with a little pillow that you can lie on as well. I do like that. So it's got all the little spikes on it, little plastic spikes that you lie naked on top of, and it stimulates those same meridian points that I'm talking about to help clear the energy. And so what I will do is I will lie on that for an hour on occasion, and I like it. I don't use it as daily or anything like that in comparison to like these guys I use daily for the last 4 years. Like really, there isn't a day go by where I haven't done a little bit of trigger point. Some days I've done a lot. Yes, that is another great tool to use. And as well, as I've said in countless videos, yin yoga or stretching of some kind, getting the body as well as aligned walking. So getting your posture is going to help assist the clear out, getting your stretching on to help stretch the fascia, stretch out the musculature. These are all at home, do it yourself, easy tools that you can use to assist the body in clearing out a lot of this stuff that has been lodged in you through trauma and through toxicity. As well, I'm going to recommend that you invest in a neti pot. This guy I do use every single day because of my tooth pain that still persists. It's less now than it was, but I'm still constantly trying to clear and clear and clear. So if you have a lot of respiratory issues and a lot of sinus issues that are coming, because the sinuses are one of the ways that we purge, we clear out through the nose. So highly recommend investing in a neti pot and getting your little sachet. So I use this guy every single day. As well as, eating clean as much as you possibly can. I've talked about that on lots of videos, because if we're clearing things and purging, if you think about the term purge, it does not just mean cry. It means things have to leave your body some way. And there's only so many elimination pathways in your body. So, you may find yourself having extreme dietary digestive issues, in which case, I highly recommend taking a very long, hard look at your diet. You can go to my body playlist, or I have a sugar and food playlist as well that has information on foods. To recap, I highly recommend eliminating sugar out of your diet, going low carb or low GI as much as humanly possible, and get yourself a low GI list so you know which foods are good and which foods are not necessarily the best for you, because certain carbohydrates turn into sugar in the body. So if you're eating something and you think it's healthy, like bananas, yes, bananas are great for potassium, but if you're eating a banana every day, understand that that is exceptionally high in sugar. So a banana to me is a once in a while treat, as opposed to, yes, I'm eating something healthy. This is why I said we believe we're eating certain foods that are healthy for us, but if you're carrying excess weight, have diabetes, then bananas should be a once in a blue moon type of food. So get your list of low GI foods so you're aware of those foods. Contemplate seriously if you're going low carb, it's almost easy enough to eliminate gluten out of your diet, because it's not necessarily the gluten that is the problem. It's the fact that the wheat that we consume in North America is no longer the wheat of 50 years ago. And then that wheat that has been genetically modified has also been sprayed with glyphosate. So you may be having a lot of digestive disruptions because of your aversion to that type of wheat. So if you do want to consume breads and things like that, go with ancient grains or spelts, things like that as a replacement. But again, it's a carbohydrate, so carbohydrates turn into sugar into the body, so you're back to sugar. Very much contemplate eliminating dairy from your body. And dairy is not the way that dairy used to be. It's mass produced. So unless you have access to a cow that is an organic cow that you can milk yourself and make your own things from that milk, a lot of the dairy that we consume is not necessarily going to work with your body any longer. And if you, which I did, started to get really bad reactions to dairy, very gaseous, then try an elimination diet and then try it again. See what happens to your body when you go 3 weeks without it and then you introduce it again. I think that you'll find that your bloating goes down, the gas goes down, the diarrhea goes down, other digestive upsets decrease. So always the best thing to do with any diet is take it out of your diet, go as clean as possible for 3 weeks, and then introduce one thing back at a time. And if your body can handle it, great. But you will find that on this awakening path, on this Kundalini path, that your body is going to start saying absolutely no more of that. And so really, I should admit to the reality that my body quit alcohol, not me. It forced me to quit alcohol because I couldn't drink it anymore. Like, I could not drink it. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I said, I really want to quit alcohol. It was that my body was like, ugh, you can't handle this anymore. I would get a hangover by the half of the first drink, and so I wasn't enjoying it, and I would be vomiting frequently. if I did drink it, and then the headaches and the hangovers lasted an entire week if I put it into my body. So my body quit the things. Your body is going to quit the things before your mind does, your ego does. Your ego is like, but I like, this is part of my routine, you know. I enjoyed my black fly drinks, which is like a margarita on the weekends, but well, sugar and alcohol in combination, my body was like, hard no to that. So give a lot of consideration to the foods that you're eating, because it will decrease your symptoms. So the symptoms that develop through this ascension process, it clears out. You're only going to help yourself if you start loving on your body and listening to your body and paying attention to your body as much as possible. And so then as things clear out of the body, what the path was for me was body, emotions, mind. But I know for other people, it doesn't necessarily go in that order. You may be processing things on your awakening path on the emotional realm, and the body hasn't yet caught up. But whatever you do on one realm is going to affect the other. So if I'm doing all this work on my body, it's going to affect what's happening in the emotional. It's going to affect what's happening in the mental. It's going to affect what's happening in the spiritual. So what ends up happening is they have to compensate. So if you change something in any one of the four, body, emotions, mind, or soul, then what's going to end up happening is the others all have to like change. It's like synchronized swimming. One does something, they all have to do something, and so they have to catch up. And so with me, as I said, it was started with the physical form and then moved into the emotional. And the more work I did on the physical, the more the emotions started being expressed. And all of a sudden I started experiencing all the memories of all the trauma and re-experiencing them. So when you were going through the emotions and you're going through emotional flashbacks and trauma release on the emotional realm, it is like you were there. Then on emotional level, you are 5 again, with 5-year-old brain, with 5-year-old feelings, and experiencing fear or terror to a situation that may not, you'd be like, why am I reacting like this? Why is everything crumbling? And why am I feeling so much anxiety, so much fear, so much guilt, so much shame, so much grief? Oh my God, the grief was never ending. And so you need to process through those, because then what's happening is we're getting into, processing all the inner child wounds. And as you process all the inner child wounds and go through the mental, the aspect mentally that comes with that of integrating to a higher level of consciousness, it then ripples out into the spiritual, which becomes soul retrieval. And so if you want to know more about soul retrieval, please check out my inner child playlist. There's a lot of information on that, because what you are doing on the emotional level when you are processing and remembering the trauma, and sometimes the trauma that comes up is repressed memories. I had a lot of repressed memories surface through this process that I can't talk about because they're too disturbing. But in experiencing them, I was in a state of absolute, my body was shaking, my emotions were being processing. It was absolute terror that I was experiencing, that of things and situations that I had were so horrific as a child. And as I said, I can't talk about them. I'm trying to process through them still to this day with my trauma counselor, who has recommended maybe some hypnosis therapy, which I'm not ready to do yet. So understand that if your child mind can't deal with horror and certain abuses that were just too much, while you're going through this awakening, dealing with repressed memory is something that is going to happen. And we're also dealing with memories not only of this lifetime, but memories of previous lifetimes as well. So it gets very overwhelming, emotionally speaking. through this purge, through this process of purification. And so these memories, these inner child wounds that begin to surface, you need to go through the process of integrating them in the mental realm into your consciousness. So it's like mixing in old thinking with new thinking and blending it together. So it's all those shadow aspects of self coming together and being alchemized into oneness, which also then on the spiritual realm is soul retrieval. So when we have a certain trauma that is so overwhelming to our childhood, our inner child, it's like fragments of our soul gets lodged off in space, and soul's like, I'm out of here. I'm taking this and I'm storing it out here in the ether because this is too much. It's just too much. So soul retrieval from a shamanistic point of view is when you're grabbing those aspects of fragmented self and bringing them back into the wholeness. So those that have experienced extreme trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, war, poverty, and any number of other like religious abuses can understand what I'm talking about if they've experienced, and like it's very overwhelming to the system to go through the process of soul retrieval and bringing those lost aspects of self home and unifying self into like oneness again. And so this process of purification, as I said, affects not only the physical form, it affects the emotional realm, and you'll re-feel all of the feelings that couldn't have been felt because they were too overwhelming back then. You'll have to integrate in your consciousness and come into a place of acceptance, because we've been denying a lot of these things, and I'm fine, everything's fine. And now our mind's like, okay, wait a second. I understand now why I behave in certain ways and why I do certain things that I do. And so there's a lot of, you can use journal work or meditation or any type of transpersonal psychology to help assist you reintegrate into new ways of thinking, which utilizes a lot of reprogramming. And I live in mantra all the time. I'm constantly, I've talked a lot about mantra work and affirmation work and making yourself recordings to reprogram the mind. So if the trauma was, for example, I'm unlovable, and because somebody shouted that at you, you're a horrible person, nobody's gonna love you, and you're like, and then the little inner child, there's a fragment that breaks off. So emotionally you start to feel again, I feel unlovable. This situation that's happening in this present day moment is making me feel like I felt 40 years ago, and so something will come along and trigger you, and you'll feel the feelings. I'm feeling insecure, I'm feeling unworthy, I'm feeling these feelings to this present day situation because it's just there to help push it out. And then oh, wait a second, now I'm integrating in the mental realm, I'm reprogramming, I'm reparenting. I am lovable, you are lovable, you are kind, so you have to use and reprogram that old program that was put in place when that fractured aspect of self shot off. And then in so doing, you're bringing that fractured aspects of self and saying, it's safe to come home. It's safe to become part of me. I'm going to love you. I'm going to honor you. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to care for you the way that you should have been in that original moment that caused the trauma in the first place. So, if anybody needs any help with trauma release and is experiencing any symptoms on the physical, on the emotional, on the mental, on the spiritual, doing soul retrieval work, and you need help, please feel free to reach out and book a one-on-one Zoom call with me. The way to do that is in the description below. All of my services are donation-based. So that I can be here to assist you through these processes of trauma release through your spiritual awakening. Before I go, I just want to say thank you for all the comments, the likes, the shares, the subscriptions. I recently discovered some of my videos are being turned into clips, which is very cool. So thank you for whoever's doing that. That's kind of neat. I didn't even know such a thing existed. Again, technology, not my strong suit, but processing things out of the emotions and the physical, definitely my strong suit. I'm well practiced at it. So let me know how you are getting on with your awakening, and if you need help, don't be shy to ask for it. Speak up. Utilize that throat chakra and communicate your truth openly and honestly. Come over to the Spiritual Warrior Support Group if you need. Maybe start a conversation and see if others want to join in and chip in their opinions for that. The way to do that is also in the description below. And with that said, peace out.